Okay, so we're live. Welcome back to the Magic Minds podcast. I'm Matt Burke. You're watching and listening to the Liberties #1 podcast. Yup, the Liberties. Yup, the Flats. How'd you like them fucking apples? On the show today, I've got Joe Monks, the cinematographer. I was practicing that all day. Cinematographer. Is that all right, is it? That's your title?
That's an A plus.
Joe Monks Creative. Sorry.
Whatever you want, just not before 6 in the morning. You know?
if you're in bed, I wouldn't have got away with that. Guys, so welcome back. Another episode of the Leap of Faith. We had the amazing Liz Gillis on the last episode, and I absolutely love her. She's fantastic storyteller. So no pressure, Joe.
No, there is none.
Pressure's only for tours.
That's what a friend of mine says anyway. But,
Eat pressure, shy success.
Relevant to what your situation is. Pressure is, it's for tours.
It's for tours, yeah. Guys, I've asked Joe to come on the show to talk to us about his leap of faith. Joe grew up like myself and Andy in the inner city, has a past that he's going to share with us, but now has took a leap of faith in life and works in the world of creation, cinematography, photography, and just creating some deadly stuff. Joe connected with me a couple of months ago. He appreciated my work, I appreciate his, and I want to just tap into that, you know, because I truly believe that through Joe's story, my story, Andy's story, people's stories, that we can inspire others to take that leap of faith. So look, what are you doing at the moment? What's the work you're doing?
I'm doing a lot of stuff for the OPW, for restaurants, hotels, just the tourism board at the minute. A lot of stuff as well as for small businesses that are just looking, because of the pandemic, the way things have gone, they've had to diversify completely in the way they approach all sorts of that business. So whether it's a restaurant that's looking to pitch in to get more deliveries, it's just kind of showing what they can give, but in a more visual context, because we've lost tactile, something touchy-feely. We've lost connection with that over the last 2 years. And so people have been approaching me and how to, what's the word, how we can visually recreate that experience. I know you can never do it. It's one of the key senses.
Visually enhance it.
You
know,
making something just look. They basically wanted to look at it and go, "I'm starving. I'm going to buy that." that's basically what the brief. That's not the brief, but that's what my brief is in my head is.
Yeah, but before we had the human connection, people are going there and they could see it and smell it. But now you've to deliver that
visually
using visuals.
Yeah. And with the tourism board as well, the stuff that I'm doing, they have, thank God, they've kept that going, because, as you know, travel was something as well there was an embargo on, known where people weren't allowed to visit our country, so we had to showcase that as well and tell people it's still here, and it's almost like dangling the carrot. But the other thing is a bit cruel sometimes as well. If someone in America that wants to get home and we're showing you how wonderful Ireland is, but unfortunately, while this coronavirus is playing its cards, we have to continue to keep doing what we're doing, because if stuff and industry shunts to a halt, like, where do we go? We have to kind of, I know I hate the word, hate that term, new normal, but it's a normal now anyway, that the way restaurants have gone, the way humanity has gone, is we're losing touch with certain things. So we have to try and reconnect, and how we're doing that, again, we're just finding a way.
It's interesting how you say that. I was only talking to a lad today from around here, right, and I've watched him over the years. He's a little bit older than me, Connor. Liberty's Party Balloons, or Liberty Party something.
Yeah,
but
actually, I know him, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's a countryman, he's not from Dublin.
No, but he lives over in the flats over here, and I met him today up at the wholesalers, and he thanked me. He was saying to me about he watches me work, and I says, Cormac, I says, I've watched you over the years, right? You're a chef, a pet shop, balloons, pub. Now you're doing this. I said, it's incredible, right? But what you were just saying there is, improvise, adapt,
Yeah.
and overcome.
You
Whether
have
it's
to.
the coronavirus, whether it's the loss of a job, whether it's the leap of faith,
Yeah.
it's about that process, isn't it? You still have to get it
Of
done.
course you do. Like
It's that improvise, adapt, and overcome.
completely. If you don't do that, we're just gonna. You will stagnate as a person. Someone else will take that position, and life will keep moving, and life will keep going. You have to adapt, improvise, and overcome. I know that that's another cliche saying, but
Yeah.
you do have to adapt. You do have to overcome, and you do have to just get on with it and find a way to get that square peg into the round hole, or vice versa.
And has this situation, like the coronavirus, the requirements of this job, because now they have to sell themselves in a different way, has
Yeah.
that really brought out of you your creative juices? That has that really
Ah,
tapped into your, like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
have a go at this.
yeah, 100%.
Because you're selling a product, but you're just selling it in a different way,
Yeah, because this time last year, Matt, I was selling paintings online
right?
because my industry was completely, it was gone, didn't exist. Where obviously people couldn't travel, so there was no need to have a budget for a travel expense, or there was they were trying to encourage people to stay at home. So now it's it's gone the opposite. They're trying to get everyone back, and everyone wants to go back. So with with the way things are at the minute, if like you have to overcome, you have to adapt and improvise, and you really have to take life by the horns and like make it what you need it to be. Because if you don't, like someone else will fill that role, and you'll just get left behind.
Yeah, and you say that so flippantly, right?
Mm.
But usually that's driven by just an internal
Yeah,
drive of improvise, adapt, overcome. That's something that you just, it's part of your DNA. It's just like your resilience.
yeah.
You've adapted that. Where did that come from? Tell us a little bit about, like, growing up. Where did you grow up? What was the crack there?
I was grew up. I'm the eldest of two boys, or three
Yeah.
boys. Sorry, I'm the eldest of three brothers, and grew up hanging out with the lads out of Trees Gardens, and like it was a, like anyone will tell you, in the area you held your own, or there was a bullseye on your back. So, yourself.
2073.
Yeah, there was you literally had to hold your own, and um, there was there wasn't like I'm not you were you were a target for bullies unless when you ran the gauntlet you were able to look after yourself. So with that comes like, I don't know whether this makes sense, and you kind of when you were small you learn to build allegiances with certain people to affiliate yourself with a certain group of fellas
Of course.
that knew you were fucked with. And also as well, you didn't want to become too involved with these people because that fork in the road could bring you down one path, and then another fork could bring you down another path. So it was kind of spin and plate. You had to fucking kind of keep these lads happy, and you had to kind of keep your keep your powder dry with these lads, but while trying to exist. And it was like a fucking jungle, yourself. You had to fight, you had to stand your corner. But like I said, you had to build allegiances with certain people. And we had a good group of lads. Some of them obviously went down the path of drugs, and they, some of them didn't make it. Some of them aren't here, and that's sad. But as I grew up, you got on with it. Like it was a tough growing up. There was south inner city is it's just a tough place to grow up, especially when you're
When you say tough, what do you mean by tough?
just in every way,
Like,
If,
for you, what's...
it was just my father left us when we were kids, and I was raised by my grandfather and my grandmother, and obviously my mother. But my grandfather would have been the main. He would have been the main father figure that I've had, and had a good Uncle Frank. So it was just a matter of I was trying to keep him happy. Didn't want to let him down. You didn't want your mom or stuff to find it, because you'd peer pressure would get in. Never gone in that much with me, thank God. But tough as in you had to, you had to earn your name
Survive.
to survive. Yeah.
Yeah.
you earned your name, and you had to become a person that if someone knew if you were going to throw down for a straightener, you'd have to fucking do it whether you wanted to or not. And that's what I mean about tough. So they didn't pick on you, they moved on to the next person. But that's something that, you know, nobody wants violence unless you're a fucking sociopath, psychopath or something. So, but if that presented itself, which it has done many times, you had to be willing to react, throw down, and go, right, might get a black eye here, might get a bruised nose, or I might walk away from this unscathed. Or sometimes, when you put it up to them, it never went that far. But it was just having that backbone to go, fuck yous, let's go. And that's way tough.
They were unforgiving times, though, weren't they? Like
Yeah.
the 80s, you were in the 80s growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
80s,
like
80s,
huge
90s.
heroin,
Oh,
huge heroin epidemic. You know, AIDS,
Yeah.
bank robberies, armed robberies, handbag snatching, fucking. Because I can remember back like robbing myself personally robbing radios out of cars
Yeah.
and fucking
Yeah.
mental. Like it was like when tough, it was a war zone. Like it was a
It was
war.
horrible. We
Like to
became-
survive it, like take
Yeah.
some.
and not get involved, because I used to be baffled. I used to puzzle me why people would see people on heroin.
Did you never get involved in heroin or
No, I didn't.
drugs?
No, I would have got involved in the party scene and would have had all those days, and sometimes there was a few years of that actually. But like I just think it was character building. I don't look back and regret it. It was made me who I am. As I got on, I learned in my life that it's something that I don't want to do. And I see people now, fellas in their 40s and all, that wouldn't have done it in their 20s when you meant to do it, and they're trying to do it now, and I just think it's fucking embarrassing. Fellas who are just trying to be like 18, 19, 20, going out getting up to stuff now that they should have done when they were that age.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking grow up, man, will you?
Yeah.
And I was just cringe some of them, And these be fellas with kids and all. So I'm glad that I got all that stuff out of me when I was meant to,
Right.
rather than waiting until I'm 40 now and realising, thinking I missed out on something.
Missed out a bit of partying.
Yeah.
So what kept you on the straight and narrow then, as in the that you didn't go down the road of drink and drugs and that the crime, like.
Yeah, it was just always because I lost my granddad when I was 16.
Yeah.
I always had this super alpha male figure that it would really make me feel down or make me feel shit if I thought I was letting him down. So I always had that kind of as a backup, not to, like, my mother and my grandmother. They weren't hard on me, but they knew if I was they weren't thick. They knew if I was out fucking popping yolks. And you did
Popping yolks.
and you'd come in, you'd see it, and like my mum, she'd be disgusted, and I just didn't want to let them down, and I seen what drugs did to families, and I was just like, I'm not doing that to my family. I'm not saying that people did it for whatever reason they had to. I just seen it, and I was like, right, I was kind of the man of the house growing up, 2 younger brothers, and I just didn't want my family to go through what I've witnessed loads of other families go through, and it was horrible. As you said, it ravaged the area.
It's just, look, what I know about drinking drugs and what I know about why people do it, there's a causation, and it's usually the byproduct of pain, trauma, and I don't mean just that family, I mean generations gone past, and they're carrying that because granddads give it to the dads, and the dads give it to the son, and then the manifestation of that is heroin epidemic, drink and drug culture, like in the working class areas. I can only speak from working class areas because I'm not from anywhere else, but it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's generational pain is everywhere across middle class, working class. So
some of the stuff that I've been seeing, like we'd be playing football against the factory, there on Cameron Street, and you'd stop, like I would have been 7, 8, and you'd see like women. They were probably 18, 19, but when I was 7, they were women, and they were getting bags of heroin from where. And I was like, it was just for someone to do that, obviously you're not in your right mind, and I'd be looking at them like, Jesus, So we seen some sites. I seen a pub get held up. I don't know whether it was Morrissey's or the Stork. A fellow with a balaclava on him and a shotgun. Give us a pass. He passed the ball when he passed the back to us. You know what I mean?
He what?
He goes, give us a pass. He's at the robbing of one of the pubs. I get it was Morrissey's or the Stork.
Yeah.
And he had a shotgun in his hand, a balaclava on him. We were playing football.
Oh, give us a pass.
Give us a pass. Pass the ball to him. All right, it's normal. I'm like, when I was growing up, I was like, oh, fella with a gun, he flew by, people be scratching their head going, oh, what?
And it was just, it's just acceptable. It was just
Yeah,
the norm.
it was just the
Like,
norm.
I could tell you, probably take me two hands to count the amount of people I see in OD and banging up heroin, and it was just the norm. Like, I remember helping a lad, or like helping just a couple of lads out the butterfly. It was a dump behind me ma's.
Yeah.
It was actually at the back of an old photography shop on Francis Street. It was called the Butterfly, and the amount of people that went on to Francis Street and my ma's gaff, the amount of people I've helped over that wall that OD'd, and that was just the norm. These were grown men. Some of them are dead now, actually. From around the age, some are still alive, but it was just the norm, right?
Yeah, it was.
But that, like, even looking back on that's quite traumatic as a kid to see a grown man OD, heroin, nearly dying. Like, it was just like, sure, that was just the way it was.
Sure, one of the times I remember, I won't mention any names because just in case, you know, a person OD'd, and we were playing football, and it was before, you know where the chipper is on Cork Street, and it was a summer, and there was a blatant awful smell. We didn't know, but it was a human being decomposing. Like, that's horrific. That he OD'd in there's this bit of waste ground where and you could get it in a certain place. Like, geez, that smelled sewers or whatever it was. No, it was actually a human being decomposing. And like, you say that to people now, even your face there is horrified, but it was just another day in the inner city in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know.
Yeah. Do you think, I was only talking to my pal about this today, do you think times have changed? We've digitally evolved and we've technologically evolved, but has things changed much since back then? Like, in regards to the trauma, the drink, the drugs, the addiction?
No, I don't think it's changed. I just think it's I think it's a different type of.
Just moved.
Yeah, it just has it's just a different face on it now. You know, like where kids are getting bullied online, and it's just like the way people were bullied back in the day. It's just literally moved. Did you say digitally now? They're getting bullied online. They're getting bullied. They're getting trolled, or they're getting sent voice notes, and like you know the scandal as well with pics of people saying they're using that as well. So you know it's just it's just changed in every way it can to fit into society now.
I think, absolutely. People say, you know, oh, it's worse now. Like, you know, it was bad back then. I remember bullying back then. I was bullied. I bullied because I was bullied. You know, and it was just using a different mode now. It's just a different form, and it's more accessible. But I see what I'm picking up here from listening to you, Joe, is you seem to have great awareness, even as a kid.
Yeah.
Like,
I would have been fairly tuned in.
Yeah.
And I was always kind of. I would have always been clued in, you know. But my grandfather used to take us over to Morrissey's to keep seats, you know. So I would have, like, what he did, you know, with him on a Sunday, you know, the place would be packed. But you'd witness all sorts, you know. There was nothing that went on that was untoward, like you'd see. But I kind of learned from him, like, the word moocher, because I've seen a moocher in action a couple of times. I've seen a drunk that caused trouble after 2-3 points. Now, I would have been only small, and it wasn't like he was exposing me to this. It was just kind of, it was almost like a Mr. Miyagi moment, you know. He was just kind of prepping me for, like, from a young age to what's out there in the different. I was always able to judge something. I became quite a good judge of character based on those little trips those little mini visits to Morrissey's, you know, for a half an hour for a pint of cordial and a packet of luxury King crisps.
You're working on your art of observations.
Yeah, and it does, because you could, even at that age, you could sense when a room would change if someone walked in. whether it was going to be trouble, because you sometimes, you know, you could feel the tension in the air, and I could pick up on that. And I think kids have a heightened, uh, what's the word? They have a heightened sense for that, yeah.
Here's the thing. Well, that's due to our amygdala in our brain. If we live in an environment where there's danger, we become very
Primal.
primal and very acute and very aware of danger because we're familiar with it's in a different place.
Yeah.
We used to be in the flats, now in the pubs. I'm just gonna watch because your
Yeah.
amygdala goes before anything. You're like either sound or an atmosphere or a tone or a voice or a look.
Yeah.
You're bum. You're like a meerkat
Exactly. And you're just dialed in.
dialed in.
And there's no, and I don't know where, as I said, I can only speak from coming from the inner city. I don't know whether people from different demographics, different areas would have the same experience that me and you would have. I don't know whether it's a byproduct of being from. It was it's a hostile area. Let's call a spade a spade. Well, it was. You know, maybe not so now,
100%.
but, like, whether or not that's something that comes with growing up where we did it when we did, is is that one of the, as I said, the byproducts, or is it does everybody have it? You know, I just think ours are a little bit more refined because you have to be clued in.
100. It's just survival.
Yeah.
It's primal. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's jungle. You know, like you know, it's
Goes
survive.
back to the fight or flight.
Which
It goes back to the fight or flight.
yeah, and what you said there, like you either fight or fly, or you know, you'll align yourself with groups, and
that's very
that's a
primal, yeah.
survival. You know, I'll associate with these, as you said. I'll dip me foot in. I'll keep one foot in. I'll keep one foot out. Because if I put both in, I'm in
Yeah.
on this, and there's no getting out when you do that.
And no as well was another word I learned as well.
What?
No. I'd always say no if I didn't want to do something. Some of
Deadly.
the lads wouldn't. You know, and I think that's a very strong thing that I think people should have, is the ability to say no.
This is mad that you say that. My daughter said to me last week that no, she doesn't want to go to the markets anymore.
Yeah.
And I was devastated by this. And I never realised up till yesterday, till my mentor said it to me. An 8-year-old just said to a big grown ass man, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't fucking celebrate that. And I said to her ma today, I dropped the ball on that.
Yeah.
She said
That's
no.
brilliant.
At an 8-year-old to say no, it's fucking. I never said no as a kid. I said yes to everything.
Yeah.
Drink, drugs,
Yeah.
fucking trouble. I was
Yeah.
a moth to the flame.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have the power
To
to say
no.
no. I had no control. Well,
Yeah.
looking back, I didn't, because I lost control because of my abuse and all that kind of stuff. But to
Yeah.
say no is a
Yeah.
powerful thing, isn't it?
Because I always tell them when I'm drilling into my own daughter now, is like, everyone is free to make a choice, whether it's yes or no. But the consequences of that choice are out of your hands once that decision is made. Like, I could decide I'm going to walk out here, have 10 points, drive my car and drive home. That's all a free choice of mine. But the consequences of that choices are gone. They're removed from me. The guard stops me, locks me up, business is gone, boom. So it all starts with your choice. Whether or not your choice is a good choice or a bad choice is entirely up to you, and it's a free choice. Do you know what I mean? So if you say yes or no, that's when you've decided on whatever path that.
That's the
choice is
trajectory.
made.
Yeah.
So I was always able to say no. No, I'm grand, thanks.
Deadly.
No, walk away. You do it. We're all going such as no. I'm gonna stay in. And it was hard to do because you I know they call it FOMO now, the fear of missing out, but that was strong. Like, you know, years ago you'd go out with £2 in your pocket, and you'd like, you just go out to go out, but some lads would be like, here, get that and take, yeah.
Get
Yeah.
that on tick.
You know yourself.
I love it. Yeah,
And then
get
all of
on
a sudden,
tick.
like, you know,
Getting a 5 spot on tick.
yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, all them decisions, all those yeses and all those, all the crew and they add up.
Yeah.
And if you do turn around and say, I should have said fucking no. Yeah, no, you should have. But you didn't listen to me. And I told you, say no, and say you were.
It's interesting what you say. I was only talking to my pal Debs earlier. It's lonely out there on your own.
Yeah.
It's lonely when you make them decisions. People think, he's bleeding, he's difficult and all. They're not
Yeah.
easy decisions to say. I can do that now
Yeah.
with great authority. I say no to everything that I don't want to do in my life. But it's lonely out there.
Of course it is.
You know what I mean? I choose this path and people like think I'm odd and my conversations are odd and they're difficult and I'm deep and
Yeah.
It's lonely out there on your own at
Well,
times.
now it is, because when I started off taking photography, I started going out hiking. I love nature, love it. And when you go up hiking and all, you'd be trying to tell someone, "Oh, I've seen this waterfall. You passed this clearing, it's gorgeous," and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, grand." So I decided, right, no one's gonna go with me. So most of the time I go hiking on my own. I love my own company. So I'd go up onto the mountains on my Todd, and I brought a camera one day, and then I was able to kind of visually show people, this is the place I was telling you about 2 weeks ago. Holy shit, I might come with you next week. So slowly but surely, it drag one or two along. They'd all fall their off, but you would kind of bring them along. So that got me. That's what kind of got me into photography in the first place, was saying no, because the lads would be like, "Where are we going on the session?" "No, I'm going hiking in the morning."
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
Hold that. You say no to them, you're saying yes to yourself.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
just said this to a girl the other day. When you say no to that, you're opening a possibility to yourself. Just what you've just said there.
yeah.
Brilliant.
And it's just having a bit of, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but having a bit of backbone and going no.
Have a backbone. Don't have a wishbone where you should have a backbone.
Yeah. Because people will be saying yeah, and they keep you going, "Yes, man. That's all you'll be." I don't mean that's all you'll be. But
Yeah, I get it.
yeah, you'll be a yes man. And
So that was the start of your photography path.
yeah,
You just decide one day I'm gonna go on these walks. I'll take pictures.
yeah, and I loved it. And then I just start getting to looking for creative angles and looking for, like, instead of going hiking with the camera, I'd go hiking for the camera. Well, we want to be here for sunrise.
Ah, yeah.
So that spun off on its own direction then. So at least then it was the camera that was dictating to me what I should do, where I should go, and when I should go.
Right.
So that also lended on to me. We're going. The gang was going to Liverpool this weekend. Actually, I'm going over to Galway this weekend. There's something over there that I want to get. 9 times out of 10 you wouldn't get the weather, but you'd still go, and the no word would pop up. And that's one thing I'd say to people is, like, stop saying yes. Say yes to certain things in your life, but if it doesn't suit you, say no. Like, open yourself up. Like, say yeah. I would say yeah now to stuff where, let's say you said to me, like, about someone that would treat you down. I'd love to do it. So I'd say yeah to that. I wouldn't close myself off to new experiences. But if I thought there was going to be a negative outcome, I'd say no.
Absolutely.
And that would be like you're going saying your 6 cents kicks in there and you'd know.
Here's a saying that Brian Penny said to me when I interviewed him for the podcast. If he's asked to do that, and if it's a hell yeah or a hell no, he says that's where the decision. And another one was, will that make my boat go any quicker? So if that decision, I say yeah, that's going towards where I think I should be going in life, whether it's spirituality, passion, and I go, right, is that going to fucking slow me down or push me towards where I go? And that's how you make a decision.
Course,
and it's very selfish.
Yeah. Well,
but everyone's doing it. Do you know what I mean? And if you're honest and authentic with your own decisions, that's a good thing. Imagine if we all done that.
Yeah.
They'd be so.
It's usually our gut instinct as well. It's usually the first one that you come up with.
You generally know.
Yeah, straight away. It's like, it's like when you meet someone for the first time that I had to diversify and I had to give myself little wins. I call a win first thing in the morning for me is, I tell everybody the first thing to do is make your bed. That would encourage you to get on with your day. That's a little win. Then might do something. Whatever, or something that might have been putting off. I don't do that anymore. Procrastinate. I just think that's bad. Bad. That's setting yourself up for a fail. Is procrastinating. I read a book actually. It's called Eat That Frog. Did you ever hear of it?
No.
It's a very good book. It's basically saying, if you have whatever task you deem to be the most time consuming or the worst task that you have to do
that first.
Get out of the way early. And it frees up the day, and you get all those good chemicals going in the head, and you almost you've freed up brain space, number one, time, and then it just sets you up to do more things during the day. So
it's taking the biggest barrier out of the way.
Exactly, it could be anything. It could be like making a phone call you don't want to make. It could be a project that you know you're gonna get like really critiqued on. It could be, I don't know. It could be anyone. Could be anything to anyone. But whatever that is, get it out of the way early, and don't leave it hanging over you, because it just gets in a fester, sets into the head. It
Grows.
rots. And it grows, yeah,
When I was in college and we get an assignment, I used to start straight away.
Yeah.
And I used to tell everyone to start. But all I used to ever do was just put a cover page and my name on the top. So in my mind, I've started it. And everyone says, "You've started?" And I say, "Oh, yeah, I got to
And you're lying
start
to
it."
yourself then, you know.
Which?
You're lying to yourself then, because you know you haven't started it, but you've given yourself a little tiny win.
Yeah, in my mind, I have started. I don't have
Yeah.
to go, I have to start that. Because I have the contents, I have the thing page on. It was only just a page with a name at the top. But I had to start, so it was a mind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, if you're doing, oh, sorry, I misinterpreted that. I thought if you're saying I'm starting it by just putting your name and then parking it aside.
I don't know. I had started
You were
it.
actively.
Yeah, you know.
going at it,
So
you had a plan
I
in place.
didn't have to
Yeah.
go to that point. I must open this up. I must start. It's already started.
Exactly. Now I misinterpreted that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought because I wrote it on the top of it.
And that's what this is about. It's getting that out of the way.
Yeah.
Who was your greatest teachers?
Well, it's two very lucky, two very influential men. Me granddad and my uncle Frank. He was one of the. He was a gas man out in Walkerstown. He would take his hand to anything. He was a carpenter by trade. And my grandfather worked in the gas company. There were two good, solid dubs, you know, good stock. They wouldn't have had it easy growing up, but they reared, you know, good families, you know. Frank opened my eyes. He took us out fishing, and you know that's when the lads would be going out. Each going to Itchy Feet. I remember one of the
Itchy Feet. That was
Do you
beside the
remember that?
apartments, was it?
No, Itchy Feet was in Terranure, remember?
Oh yeah.
Itchy Feet. Yeah, it was a great spot that was.
Oh yeah, I know it.
We were
Itchy
gonna
Feet.
start going out there, then the lads booked a holiday. I think it was Tenerife. And my uncle Frank, he said, "Look, I'm at that booking a house over in Connemara. We're gonna go fishing for the week." I was like, "Hang on, Tenerife, fucking middle of Connemara, Tenerife, middle of Connemara," and I was like, "Right, a lot of these fuckers here are they were on a trajectory that was going." It was going, what wasn't good.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it was
Car
like,
crash.
exactly. And a lot of the people God love them aren't here now.
Yeah.
So I made it probably was a big decision at the time, and it kind of was one of the turning points, one of them fork in the road decisions where your life could go one way or the other. Maybe that was actually in talking about that. That might have been the one that helped me go away from the chaos, because I said yeah, and I went to Connemara
Yeah.
with my uncle Frank. I
Said no to them and yes to you.
Frank. Yeah.
Deadly.
And we went and we fished, and it was the lad, like some people said it was boring, but it was a great crack, you know. They'd be in the little diddly-eyed pubs, and we were catching pike and catching trout and barbecuing, you know. It was just great crack, and it was innocent. Fun.
And a deep, rich conversation with
Yeah.
your uncle. And I just talking to Cormac today about it. He goes for coffee with these two old lads.
Yeah.
One's an ex-guard, one's an ex-car park attendant. He said, I meet them every day. He says, the conversation is phenomenal. He says, it's just deep and rich. And
full of.
I used to, like Andy's uncle, Paddy, used to teach me how to catch pigeons. Like, he used to tell me stories, and they're
Catching
just...
pigeons used to do that as well. Actually, I forgot about that until you said that.
And he used to tell me stories, and they were just magical.
Yeah.
Like, fucking magical.
And I think kids these days, God, look, they are missing out on that.
Mm.
You know, because my little one's only 4, and I try and she loves the outdoors. Like she's a very tactile little child. She gets in and she loves getting her feet mucky, and she doesn't care if she gets wet, and I encourage that.
Oh, I love it.
Great.
Love
like,
it.
she doesn't like mud doesn't turn her off
Yeah.
or anything. You know, she loves it. She wants to be out all
Doesn't
the time.
matter what people think, whether you're dirty or not, because that
exactly.
was the big thing when we growing up. Is don't go out looking like whatever, you know, like a
Yeah.
derogatory term about the travelling community
Yeah,
or whatever, or don't let the neighbour see you look like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's basic. And I was just telling this to me young one the other night, you know, because her ma says, I can't believe you went out like that. I says, you know what that actually subliminally is telling you when somebody says that, that you're not accepted the way you are.
Yeah.
I said, I know your ma's saying you don't go out like that, but what's really happening for you is that you're not good enough dressed in them clothes. You're not accepted as a human being like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I said, but the fact that you don't give a fuck, I says, that's you very comfortable in your own skin. And that's
Big
what,
time.
because my man used to say, don't bring shame at this door, don't go out looking like that. That's telling me that society won't
Yeah.
accept me
Yeah.
if I'm not this certain way.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's really important for kids to get mucky, get dirty, wear your
Yeah.
clothes inside out. Who gives a fuck? I love you as you are.
Those boots don't go there. Yeah, you comfortable in them.
Yeah.
Go out.
Yeah.
Be your own little self, you know.
Yeah, my young one had her clothes inside out the other day, and I says, "Are you all right with that?" And she says, "I'm grand." I says, "I don't give a fuck."
You don't joke about, yeah.
Yeah.
I let me niece, my brother went mad. That actually wasn't probably the one of the best things I ever did. I let his little, it was mine there. Lily, she's 11 now, and she would have been 3 or 4. She wanted to go into town wearing welly boots, a dress over a pair of tracksuit bottoms, and goggles. So I let her. And I was just like, they were looking at her. I said, she thought she was great, you know. So I just thought in case it was a fucking go near a swimming pool, I'm equipped with the goggles. Wellies on here. She looked mad, but she didn't give a fuck, you know.
Fucking love it.
And so I was just like, yeah, like she's not conforming to way people want the little
No.
girls up, but she was happy.
Yeah.
I still get stick over this day.
What was the fallout to that? What did the brother have to say?
What do you wear like that for?
Yeah.
She looks like a fucking weirdo. I said,
I
hang on
say-
a minute. Look at her. Does she look like a weirdo? No. Is she happy? Yes.
Deadly.
That's all about
She'll
it.
never forget that. She's like, oh, my uncle's
Have
the
pictures as
best.
well, so she never will forget it.
No, 24th, that's coming out.
Yeah.
She looked
That's
like,
getting
she
yeah.
looks like, what's your man now? Toad at the Toad Hall and Wind in the Willows. The goggles in
Yeah.
the car.
What's his name again? Oh, the little frog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. Yeah.
Fucking brilliant. That's it. And that's
She didn't give her rats. And that's
being comfortable in your own skin.
yeah. Like, you know, it is as well. Like, it is about being comfortable in your own skin.
I-
My missus always tell me, I don't give a flying fuck about what other people think. My granddad told me, what people think of me is none of my business, and that's why I live my life.
That's it, brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
like I was never told that as a kid. I only
Yeah.
started to be comfortable in my own skin a number of years ago.
Yeah.
I used to just wear black, grey, and the odd blue. Now I'm bleeding like a flamingo going round. I'm as
Yeah.
camp as a row of tents.
So yeah, they call me bleeding David Hasselhoff. I mean, I'm always in a pair of red shorts, you know. Doesn't matter what it is. But I find like I'm comfortable. What's wrong with it?
That's deadly.
You know?
Where was the transition? Like you're talking about your photography and your love for that work. When did the jump come of what were you doing?
It was to lean into the cinematography and the thing.
Yeah, like when did it become a profession? When did it become like I'm going to do this full time? And what was the work? Because I'm sure that wasn't nurtured or promoted in school.
No.
When did, what were you working at the time?
No. I was
Where'd you go to school?
singer. I clashed it first on the canal.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And then
Clash you Cleaveen, was it?
Cleaveen,
Yeah.
I was at Bladenhead K School.
I think my older brother went there.
I went to
Yeah.
Jambo.
Yeah, they're all mad jokes in that school.
Got them all out with the flats.
Yeah, they're fucking Bezos in the school. I'm not messing, like.
And lower Crumlin.
Yeah, they were all whack jobs. There was a few well-known heads, and I won't mention any there, like they're famous for not being nice, put it that way. They were in there, and it was just a mad school. When the teacher turns around and tells you when you're getting your class photo, that's in case the police need it for a crime line. That's what he said. Yeah, great bleeding motivational speech there.
Yeah.
Dickheads. But,
What was the trajectory of work for you?
I was working and I saved my time working doing electrical work and alarms and when the recession hit, like I was never happy at that type of work, but when the recession hit in 2008, 2009, I said, right, now is an opportunity rather than sit around where everyone was going, lost my job, let's get blatant bankered every day and feel sorry for ourselves and get this on tick and get that on tick, you know. Some days I did, I'm not gonna lie, but I made a wise decision to not do it most of the time. So I went to Griffith College and I got my degree in digital media. So that's when that's when another fork in the road hit me, and I went for that, and I just and this was a time I actually did say yes. So people were looking for stuff done. Like I know people, there's an old cliche in the industry, you'll get exposure from this. Like, fucking exposure's not going to pay the bills, but
Mm.
I was in a position where I could say yeah. So I was kind of, they were using me and I was using them
Of course.
because I was getting a show reel, like, you
Yeah.
know. So it was a kind of it was a sneaky way of getting using one up against the other. They were using me and I was using them.
Just like you did back in the day in the flats.
Yeah.
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Exactly. So yeah, they were getting free shit off me,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I was aligning myself with them. So you know,
These are the skills you learn in the inner
and
city.
it all, yeah, and it all boils down to back when you're
Transferable skills.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
going back to like
Networking.
yeah, will this will this allegiance or alliance be beneficial to me? Yeah. So
I'll dip in, I'll dip out.
yeah, exactly. And as you said, you knew then you could always go. Hang on a minute, I need X, Y, and Z for a show reel. Hang on, would you fancy getting this done? And they're gonna say yeah. You're gonna get that little missing piece of the jigsaw for your show reel to have content to show people who will pay you. So that's when I made the jump from bringing a hiking with myself and taking pictures to just enjoy to going, I want to make this a living.
Mm.
And that's when I did. It all started off with the recession, when it was a shit time for everybody, shit time for me. But rather than wallow and pity and feeling sorry for myself, I was like, fucking get on with it.
Yeah, you're just tapping back. You're opening up that bag of tools that you
Yeah,
had
you
from a
have to.
kid, the resilience, the networking,
Yeah.
the social and emotional intelligence, the the shiftiness, the
And it
fucking.
is shifty because that is a good word for it, because you are using a situation to benefit you.
It's Game of Thrones shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
they're
you're-
using you, but you're using them.
Yeah, it's all a game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just, again, you're just tapping back into all. And it's why when I work with clients, we're talking about transferable skills. The skills
Yeah.
that you've used in this realm and all this stuff that you've achieved, whether it's just to stay alive, which
Yeah.
you have done,
Yeah.
and then you just pop it into your career or you pop it into your purpose or your passion. Same
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, no, it is.
Do you know what I mean?
You
It's
just have to. You just have to make situations work, whether they're good or whether they're bad. Try and get a positive outcome from a negative situation. That's what I always do all the time. Because there's a blame culture out there, and I did it as well for for a couple of years, pointing the finger. It's cause it was this, it was cause it was that, and you're fucking doing nothing but
if you choose blame, you're not choosing acceptance.
exactly.
And if you're looking out, you're definitely not looking in.
Yeah.
It's the John, as my pal says, it's the John's cross. Bring it in and bring it down. What's
Yeah.
going on for me? Do you know what I'm loving though? And I'm after picking up there on you, and which we do with clients, is tell me the things you love to do. And when we do the things we love to do, in there is work. In there could be a career.
Yeah.
You just chose going for the walks. All right, I'll bring a camera.
Yeah.
And then that,
Tell
you
the
didn't
story
start
about
off by buying a camera, take pictures, because
I'm
then
gonna
I
be
can
a
start
professional
selling
photographer.
pictures.
Yeah. Because it's not.
It was done from a love.
Yeah, it's done. It was done because I wanted to do it, and I think you're very lucky if you can. Like, don't get me. There's days where I can't stay. I'm looking at a camera and I'm like, oh.
And that's
You know?
honest, because there's days I want to
Yeah,
give
honest.
this shit up. Oh,
Yeah.
pain in me bollocks with this. Pain in me bollocks making videos.
But that's part of it. That means you're being real to yourself. As
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
You would just say, oh yeah, and get on with it. Like, it really means as well when you do love it, you're passionate about it, and you can almost see when the days you weren't fully behind it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're doing it because it's a part of emotion, and you not part of emotion, but part of emotion, as in a cycle to get it done.
Mm.
Well, you're almost running the clock down just to get it done.
Okay.
And I know I can see that in work that I do where I'm not tuned in, I'm not enjoying it, and then when it does click and you do it, you can just see it like Jesus.
You're in flow.
Yeah.
What parts of the job do you enjoy the most?
I love onset. I love on site. I love being outdoors. Anything and all that involves being in nature in any aspect.
Right.
Editing, it can be a bit tedious.
Yeah.
That's very tedious. It's one of them.
Getting it right.
Yeah.
'Cause when you're in the editing phase,
Yeah.
you're overdrive OCD
Yeah.
perfection
Yeah.
to
And
get it just the way you want.
microanalyzing silly
Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
no one's gonna
And
notice.
nobody is gonna know.
Yeah.
Mm.
But you will. And it's almost like because it's there and you've seen it, you have to fix it. And
Or
then
you
you're like,
want
is
it
that
to be.
OCD? You know.
Yeah.
But it's that's. But it's part and parcel. That's it. It comes with it.
Yeah. Creation, as we talk about in school, creation wasn't promoted or encouraged.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? That's seen as, that's just other stuff. You won't make a living on that. What do you
Yeah.
say to, kids or people of our age or older,
Yeah.
that want to choose that path? What's your thoughts?
it. There's no what's stopping you. There's nothing stopping you. If you find yourself that you want to do something, do it. Doesn't matter how old you are. Be passionate. If you're passionate about something, do it. Like obviously, if you're 45, you want to be a professional footballer. That's not going to happen,
No.
But be realistic about your aspirations.
Yeah.
And make sure that you can fulfill them.
Yeah.
And even if it's a hobby, but if you are passionate about something, include it in your life, in some way, shape, or form. Don't just ignore it. Don't be the. Don't look back and regret that you didn't do things because you're the only. We're the biggest hindrance to ourselves at times.
As I say, the clients, we create the barriers, and the barriers are thoughts, in our own mind, our own fears, insecurities,
Yeah.
doubts.
Yeah. They're all those things that we create, and we can easily destroy them also, overcome them, and flip them.
As you said as well, and I use that same analogy myself. I don't specifically say a positive, but I see difficult moments as a teaching, and what's my learning? What am I going to benefit from this? Like whether it's an adverse moment in my life or a week of a shitstorm in my mind. What's this teach me? What am I not seeing? Do you know what I mean? What can I take away from this fucking moment? Whether that's a bad decision.
Whether it's it's using proactively approaching, and I always do that. If there's something negative, I'll always try and see a positive in it. Whether it's really something mundane, something that's can be fairly big or testing. Try and remove tiny piece of positivity from it, because then the negatives don't become that big. And
Change our focus as well.
Yeah, and you can embrace them. Like negativity is everywhere. It's everywhere. But it's embracing that negativity. Like it's like don't shy away from it. It's not like I welcome it. Yeah, well, I kind of do, because it's part of life. Like it's 50-50 negativity, 50 positivity. But what I don't like is people who exist in a negative mind frame. I can't. That's one of my. Can't stick. Someone who just has a negative outlook on everything.
Just draw your own positive.
Oh,
Draw
Jesus.
your energy down.
Yeah, here's the thing, as you say, we were saying, it's the yin and the yang, there's the dark and the light, the male and the feminine.
Yeah.
But some people just have, due to their own misfortune or their own environment that they grew up in and didn't become awake or woke up, or they're still unconscious, that cognitive negative bias, and to just focus all on that. And you can see that with the media and the newspaper and the news, and some people can be just stuck in that.
Yeah.
You say it's not all fucking bed knobs and broomsticks, it's not all positive, but it's not all negative. But what do you spend most of your time focusing on?
Yeah.
And you'll hear that through people's language, and that can become contagious. And I don't spend my time with them people, like I don't spend my time with people that are off their rocker smiling and being happy all the time, because that's not real either.
No, it's not. No, I'm always getting it. Like, do you not listen to the news? And I go, no, I don't.
No.
Don't listen to the news, because it's all doom and gloom at the minute. Like if I want to know something that's relative to me, I'll Google it, or I'll find out, or one of these negative fuckers will tell me, because that's, oh, you never guess what, there's a new fucking variant, it's killing everybody, you know.
Yeah. I was locking my bike going into a shop today in Dervish, and some woman come up to me and started talking to me, and she must have known by my deadpan face that I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
Just literally just stopped and started telling me stuff like, oh, it's all on the rise and blah blah, and I just kept looking at her like she'd fucking three heads,
Yeah,
and then she just walked off. But that's how mad, like, people just
Yeah,
go up and
yeah.
start telling you shit like that.
and I just don't, I don't have time for those type of people.
You've a great mindset, you know, and I'm watching your trajectory as a kid. It seems like you've always had it, you know, your mental attitude, your resilience, your
I wouldn't have been always there, you know. There was times when
yeah, but
you
it's,
have to, as I said, you really have to fucking, you have to look for it within yourself.
it's recognizing in yourself, you know.
Yeah.
You seem to know yourself very well.
Yeah. I think that's it. You have to know yourself. Like, you spend the most time with yourself. So if you're shying away from what you see in the mirror every day, you don't really know yourself. So you do have to look inwards and all, see what makes you tick, what doesn't make you tick, what pisses you off, what excites you, and it's accepting all those things and learning to be comfortable. But I love being on my own. I love being on my own because I don't have any inner voices, you know, that will come up, and, like, you know, some people can be alone with their own thoughts because
Yeah, I'm good with that.
you haven't faced whatever it is that they're afraid that will come up when they're on their own. You know what I mean? It's just being able to exist in your own space.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? People talk about, you know, at an intellectual level, like, you know, do this and do that, you know, turn a positive into a negative. Like, from all the stuff that I've listened to and learning over this conversation, you know, and specifically around the 2007 kind of Celtic Tiger got a kick in the balls,
Yeah,
you turned that into
yeah.
a
Yeah,
career-defining moment, a negative. Like myself, I went
Yeah.
back to college. I didn't know what I was doing at the time.
It was important.
And
Yeah.
and you seem to have done that, whether that's with the holiday with your uncle going on the fishing instead of the lads.
Yeah.
Like, these are nuggets where you can say to me, well, I live by this mantra.
Yeah.
You know, I turned this shit show into
Yeah.
my show.
Because you can, because that's another cliche. Like, people, you can be a leader or a follower. I don't think I'm a leader. I don't think I'm a follower. Just sit in the middle somewhere. I don't go on my way to people please. I think as well, like, as you get older, you realise in your life, certain people won't like certain things that you have to say, and that will alienate you from people. But I think that's a good thing as well. And so, whether or not that's another version of saying no and going, saying no to Tenerife and yes to Connemara, being truthful and speaking your mind in certain situations where people mightn't like exactly what you have to say, you book good. If it doesn't like, they don't like what you have to say, but you're being truthful to yourself and you're saying it from a good place that's true to you. That's, and they don't want to be part of your life from that point on. That's another way of saying no to a situation, because you're externally voicing a no, but in another different way. It's just not fitting into, as I said, it's just not fitting in, because fitting in is what you're meant to do.
Yeah,
You know?
people find it difficult when you stand alone and do your own thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah.
They don't like that.
And people find it difficult because it asks them to look at themselves, and people don't want to do that because they're too busy looking outside.
Yeah, and you know, and as you're saying there, people will, like, you know, bullying years ago. A bully will literally use all your weaknesses and all the stuff that you know about yourself against you, and package them up nicely as an insult and fuck them at you. And whether or not you can take it as someone having a pop at you or a go, but it's not. They're literally, whatever they're dealing with themselves, they've had to go back, pick on someone and use, let's say if you're overweight, yeah, you fat bastard, You know, all they're doing is using stuff that you already know as a weapon to hurt you.
Mm.
You know, so I just think as you know, all these situations like yeah, if someone calls you fat, turn that negative into a positive and go, maybe I do need to lose a bit of weight. Instead of feeling sorry for yourself and going burying your head in the bag of Doritos, go on, yeah, maybe take that and go, yeah, you're right, I've lost I might need to lose a few pounds. I'm actually working on that, you know. There's like we were saying earlier on, it's just making the right choices for you, whether or not it's through people having a go, saying yes, saying no, but just about finding who you are and being comfortable with who you are.
That's a big piece that's jumped out for me. You know, the ability to say no comes from this inner steel of knowing who you are, being able to do that. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not always
it's
it's not always easy, but it's in service of you and your trajectory.
Yeah.
You know, living by your mantra.
Yeah.
You know, turning the positive into a negative. It's because some people just talk the talk and they bullshit and they blah blah blah. But you know, being true to yourself. We're coming near the time. What's the one thing you would like people to take away from this interview? I have talked phenomenal amount already. Yeah. What would you like people to take away after listening to you?
Just embrace life in all of its glory, in its badness as well. There's a lot to be had and said and done in this world if you just open up yourself to new experiences, standing firm in what you believe from your moral compass is right and wrong. But go out, and if you have something that you want to do, fucking do it. Don't blame your childhood. Don't blame the decision you made in 2009. Don't blame the fact that you mightn't have had a father around. You have the most important, most wonderful gift that any fucking thing has, a life. There's no reset button here. You get one go. We're all going the same place. You know, whether you believe in God and Allah and all that stuff, I don't go into any of that. That's entirely up to everybody's personal belief, whatever they want to believe. You just gotta live your life now, because it's going. Like this conversation when we start, we're never getting that time back. It's gone. So don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Eat the frog.
Eat that frog. Eat that frog.
Yeah.
Joey the Lips, forgive my daddy. That was
Yeah.
a phenomenal interview. I loved listening to your trajectory of from the flat saying no. You've not changed obviously since a kid. Well, you've obviously changed. You've lost a bit of hair.
Yeah.
But like your attitude, your resilience, your application, your work ethic, the way you see the world, I'm sure it's moved a little bit. It's brilliant.
Of course, yeah.
You know, it's the same skills. You just keep using them. It's deadly, and it's just such an inspiration. You know, and the fact that you're from the inner city and it's deadly. I loved that interview. It was such a cool and calm and brilliant interview.
Thanks very much. Yeah, no, it was very. I enjoyed it. Like, you know, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.